Am I live? Good morning everyone. Namaskar to all. This is Balneet Singh Bedi. I welcome all of you to the daily news analysis session by Tathastu ICS. Good morning Rishi, Sonali, Mamta. Good morning everyone. Let's start today's session. So before we start the session, these are the 4 announcements of the GS Foundation courses. The GS Foundation morning batch, which is starting on 19th of April 2025. Good morning Shameen, Dheeraj, Ankit, Khanbhai, Charita, Suresh, Priyanka, Saurabh, Rishi, Ankit, everyone, good morning. Morning batch starting on 19th of April. You can join for structured learning, structured curriculum, as well as quality environment by all the experienced faculties. Then we have GS Foundation evening batch as well, which is starting on the same date, that is 19th of April, for all the working professionals as well as students who are pursuing their graduation and want to prepare side by side so they can complete their college, they can complete their work, their job, and by the evening time they can join the foundation course and prepare for UPSC civil services. Then we have philosophy optional and PSIR optional. Philosophy optional starting from 7th of April by Tanu Jain ma'am as well as her team, and PSIR optional by Dr. Manoj Sharma sir. It's also starting on 7th of April 2025. Manoj Sharma sir has experience of more than 22 years, so you can join in order to excel in PSIR optional subject. So let's start today's session. We have under mains Manthan, we have 3 editorials. The first editorial talks about India's marginalized parliament and budgetary affairs. So this editorial talks about the marginalized role of Indian parliament and the role it plays in the financial policies. So the editorial says that parliament has become a passive approver. And it's not an active participant in debating the amendments or in passing the laws or in passing the demand for grants, right? So the editorial is also saying that parliament should be involved more in pre-budget discussions so that we can have more informed decision making. There should be more transparency and there should be more accountability. Then the next editorial talks about charting a route for IORA, that is Indian Ocean Rim Association, under India's chairship. So this editorial is in news because India is going to chair the Indian Ocean Rim Association in November 2025. So the editorial talks about what all we can expect from India once it chairs the IORA. So what it's expect to strengthen the geopolitical Indian Ocean region and make it more free, more inclusive, more safe for all the countries. And it also talks about to strengthen the regional stability, regional maritime stability in the region. Then last we have navigating differences. As we all know, New Zealand PM Christopher Luxon, he was in India as the chief guest of the Raisina Dialogue 2025. So this is in news because of the trade and investment, bilateral trade between India and New Zealand, and how both these countries can strengthen their relationship in future. And under prelims we have transfer of judges. Recently a controversy has erupted where one of the justice Yashwant Verma has been transferred from Delhi High Court to Allahabad High Court by the Supreme Court. So we will see, we will not get into the controversy, but we will see the process of transfer of judges. Then we have demand for grants and guillotine. Recently demand for grants worth 50 lakh crore rupees has been passed by the Lok Sabha. We will see what are demand of grants and what is guillotine. And last we have Dokriani glacier. As I can see in the comment section as well, today is World Water Day, that is 22nd of March, and the theme of World Water Day is glacier preservation. Glacier preservation. And because of glacier preservation we have Dokriani glacier in the news. It's basically a very small portion where it's showing that around 15 to 20 meters the glaciers are receding every year, and how it will impact the global world. We will see all that in detail once we reach the prelims Sarthi section. So under mains Manthan, the first one is the India's marginalized parliament in budgetary affairs. Why in news? Union Budget 2025, which part? Indian polity and governance. Now the first slide talks about the finance ministry solely drafts the budget with minimal involvement from parliament or the cabinet ministers. So Nirmala Sitharaman and her team, her entire Vitt Mantralaya finalize the budget, drafts the budget, but there is very less involvement of other MPs or the cabinet ministers. Then Indian parliamentary role in the budgetary process is largely ceremonial with less scope for debate and amendments. इसके कहने का मतलब ये जो पार्लियामेंट का रोल है ना वो सिर्फ एक ऊपर से रह गया है, राइट? एंड हाउ and they don't debate, they don't do the amendments in major part of the budget because they have limited time, limited resources, and within that time period they just have to pass the demand for grants. As I just mentioned, I will justify this statement at the end of this session because under prelims आती we will do demand for grants, guillotine. This is related to this, right? जब कुछ clauses होते हैं जो डिस्कस नहीं हो पाते तो एट द एंड स्पीकर से पास करो, राइट? मेक इट अ ग्रांट, द डिमांड को ग्रांट में पास करो. सो पार्लियामेंट्री रोल हैज बिकम मोर सेरेमोनियल, सिर्फ ऊपर से है विद वेरी लिटिल स्कोप फॉर डिबेट एंड अमेंडमेंट्स. राज्यसभा लैक्स अ सब्सटेंटिव रोल इन बजट डिस्कशंस डिस्पाइट बीइंग अ इंपॉर्टेंट डेमोक्रेटिक बॉडी. We all know Lok Sabha has the exclusive privilege in most of the matters. Rajya Sabha has unequal status with Lok Sabha in the money bill and the budget session as well. So what are the challenges in the budgetary oversight? So the editorial says there is lack of scrutiny. The quality of debates regarding the budget is very poor, right? They are not meaningful. Charita, let's focus here, please. Let's focus here. So quality of debates in parliament regarding the budget is very poor and they lack meaningful amendments. Budget approval, parliament function is to approve rather than amend the proposals put forward by the executive. So parliament की job है उस चीज पे debate करना, उस चीज को अच्छे से निचोड़ देना rather than just passing it. So because of the time constraints, that is why editorial is using the word marginalized, the marginalized role of parliament. It won't lead to democratic accountability or the governance framework would come down, right? Then the global comparison, the editorial is saying in UK, in United Kingdom, USA and Australia as well as Canada, legislatures have significant roles in budgeting, including the independent budget analysis and influence over the fiscal policies. Here we have the system as well. Then the next slide talks about what are the reforms needed for the parliamentary engagement. So the editorial is saying that parliament should be involved more in pre-budget discussions during the monsoon session to ensure that legislators can influence the fiscal policies. How? For this you need to understand we have three sessions. We have budget session, we have monsoon session and we have winter session, right? So budget session is from February to May. Then monsoon session because of the seasonal rains during that time, July to September. Then we have winter session, November to December. So the editorial is saying, the author is saying कि जो monsoon session है उसमें प्री बजट डिस्कशंस होने चाहिए कि भाई 6 महीने बाद हमने बजट प्रेजेंट करना है, इस मिनिस्ट्री को क्या चाहिए, इस सेक्शन को क्या चाहिए, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पे कितना लगाना है, किस चीज को सब्सिडीज देनी है, उन सब चीज का हम डिस्कशन करके रखें so that it becomes easier for the finance ministry to have holistic approach, to have approach of all the MLAs, of all the legislators. Because आखिरकार नियुक्त तो लोगों ने ही किया है उन लोगों को, they are the representative of Indian people there, so everyone should have a say in the budget as well. Legislator can influence the fiscal policies. Then it's also saying, this is very very important, establishment of parliamentary budget office to provide independent non-partisan budget analysis and expert forecast. Now example, you take it this way, suppose you have to make a policy, right? You have to make a policy for, let's say, scheduled caste, right? उनकी education पे policy बनानी है, and there is already an institution which has done whole research about the scheduled caste, right? They have done the research कि across the length and breadth of the country यहाँ पे scheduled caste की population बहुत ज्यादा है, यहाँ पर इतनी जनता स्कूल में जा रही है, इतनी जनता चाइल्ड लेबर में है, इतनी जनता स्कूल जा ही नहीं रही है, इतनी अंडर एज 5 है. और जब आपको पॉलिसी बनानी है शेड्यूल कास्ट के लिए, एंड व्हेन यू गेट ऑल द अप टू डेटेड डेटा, 100% your policy would be more holistic, would be more comprehensive, would be at the grassroots level, so that you can, आप क्या करोगे, आप तब पॉलिसी बनाने में आपको बहुत इजी हो जाएगा, बिकॉज यू हैव ऑल द डेटा. हाँ, उत्तर प्रदेश में ये पर्टिकुलर कास्ट है, इस कास्ट के बच्चे स्कूल नहीं जा रहे, दिस इज द पर्टिकुलर विलेज, सो वी गोना फोकस देयर मोर. वी विल अपॉइंट द डिस्ट्रिक्ट हेड, वी विल अपॉइंट द रीजनल हेड, एंड एट ग्रासरूट लेवल वी विल कैन अपॉइंट आशा वर्कर्स कि इस जगह आपको फोकस करना है, एंड विद इन 1 year 2 years we will see the track record. 100% that would work. Same way the editorial is saying, parliamentary budget office, it should be there for the forecast as well as the proper budget analysis. There should be a office, there should be separate people who are involved only in this job. Then improved coordination, encouraging cooperation between subject committees in parliament to help evaluate the budget with greater depth. Then the benefits of reform. अगर हम ये रिफॉर्म ले आते हैं, हम पार्लियामेंट्री बजट ऑफिस एक बना भी देते हैं, तो इसके रिफॉर्म्स में बेनिफिट क्या क्या होंगे? There would be increased accountability, there would be increase in transparency in the budget process, there would be stronger role of parliament. How stronger role? Because everyone is involved in shaping the economic policy, the fiscal policy, सबका ज्ञान एक साथ आएगा तो 100% वो पॉलिसी ज्यादा स्ट्रॉन्गर बनेगी, ज्यादा अच्छी बनेगी, and it would be easier for Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha to get it passed as well. So there would be more equitable resource allocation through greater public participation as well as input. Now it talks about the challenges in the fiscal discipline. There are concerns about populism and fiscal irresponsibility. Populism measures is rewadi culture, you can say, right? फ्रीबीज दे रहे हैं, फिस्कल डेफिसिट बढ़ता जा रहा है, इतना पैसा नहीं है जितना हम खर्च करते जा रहे हैं सरकार. क्यों? क्योंकि इलेक्शंस जीतने हैं, क्योंकि उस पर्टिकुलर सेगमेंट सोसाइटी के लिए हमें स्कीम लानी पड़ेगी, बिकॉज वी हैव अपकमिंग इलेक्शंस इन दिसंबर इन नेक्स्ट ईयर. सो इट लीड्स टू पॉपुलिज्म, इट लीड्स टू फिस्कल इररिस्पांसिबिलिटी, राइट? व्हेन एम्पावरिंग पार्लियामेंट विद बजटरी डिसीजन दैट कैन बी मिटिगेटेड थ्रू द बैलेंस्ड अप्रोच, इट वुड इंश्योर ट्रांसपेरेंसी, इट वुड इंश्योर अकाउंटेबिलिटी. देन पार्लियामेंट्री बजट ऑफिस, इंटरनेशनल बॉडीज, फॉर एग्जांपल वी have US Congressional Budget Office. Here is the one of the images which I have found and pasted here. Like the PYQ would help evaluate the fiscal impact of policies and provide legislator with objectives as well as data-driven informatics. Suppose अगर ये budget office बन गए, how would it help? It would help in fiscal governance. It will help in financial accountability, as well as it will improve the governance framework of the center as well as the states. And this office would work in the data analytics, right? एक focused data analytics होगा about the all the schemes, the policies, the subsidies, the infrastructure projects. So all this you need to remember. This is the example. Here you just need to remember 2 words, that is populism and fiscal irresponsibility. You can see here, right? Then we come to the next editorial. The next editorial, as I've said, charting a route for IORA under India's chairship. The name itself is saying India is going to chair Indian Ocean Rim Association in November 2025. So India to chair IORA in November 2025. GS paper 2, that is international relations, right? Now India's role as IORA chair. India will assume the chairmanship of IORA in November 2025 with focusing on funding opportunities, technology integration and academic collaborations. Any of you who knows where is the secretariat of Indian Ocean Rim Association? Gagan, Charita, Mamta, anyone? So the secretariat is in Mauritius, right? You need to remember all this. Mauritius is the secretariat of IORA. As vice chair, India is already preparing to lead with a focus on enhancing IORA's resilience and expanding its budget. We will see why IORA is facing budget constraints, because here most of the economies are developing economies, and when they are developing economies, उनके पास इतना पैसा नहीं है कि वो IORA को fund करते रहें. So there is budget constraint, there is financial constraint for this association. Then Indian Ocean region, as I have said, it's geopolitically and geostrategically as well as geo-economically very, very important region. The IORA is crucial geostrategically, home to 2/3 of humanity. India is here, so आधी जनता तो बेटा हमारी है, and it handles 75% of global trade and 50% of daily oil consumption. If you want, you can remember the data is not so tough, right? 2/3 of humanity, 75% of global trade and 50% of daily oil consumption. right? Then region faces several challenges, that is poor development, climate change, security threats, that is piracy, terrorism and environmental degradation as well. So these are the basic points. Here you can learn this data which I have just mentioned here, right? Then comes what are the objectives of IORA. IORA is dedicated to fostering cooperation among its members like disaster risk management, maritime safety, fisheries management as well as blue economy. These are the objectives which you can see later on. These are the 8 objectives which you can learn. Yes, absolutely, it's Mauritius, Mamta. Then dialogue partners include the US, China, EU, but see here all the IORA countries are middle class countries, the small countries, the developing economies, but the China, USA as well as UK, they are the dialogue partners and they are the major funders, but यहाँ पे तो partner ही नहीं है ये, तो they are not funding, so IORA is facing through budget constraints as well. Then financial constraints of IORA we will quickly see, is reliant on member contributions, but most of its members are developing economies which results in limited funding. Then we have Indian Ocean Commission, by comparison has a significantly large budget. Indian Ocean Commission, basically it's a commission to protect the Western Indian Ocean islands. You can see these are the Western Indian Ocean islands. Indian Ocean Commission, we have 5 members. We have Mauritius, we have Seychelles, then we have La Reunion, we have Comoros and we have Madagascar. I hope I'm visible and these 5 countries are visible too, right? IORA has 23 member countries which you need not to remember as such because they are very small countries. So I really hope that the question might not be asked, but here we are just 5 countries, that is Mauritius, Seychelles, Reunion, Comoros and Madagascar. You need to remember this. Uska budget beta हमारे IORA से ज़्यादा है. IORA needs more funding to expand its work, maritime safety, fisheries, disaster management as well as technology integration. Right, then next comes technology integration. Its small secretariat in Mauritius struggles with data management, right? जो उसका secretariat है वहाँ पे अच्छा infrastructure भी नहीं है, right? India is funding, 100% India is funding, but India also has a limit, Charita, right? It can't fund कि वो सबके behalf पे इंडिया ही से फंड करेगा. नो, ऑफ कोर्स इंडिया इज अ डेवलपिंग इकोनॉमी, इंडिया इज डूइंग इट्स जॉब, बट द मेजर डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज, द यूएस, द यूके, द यूरोपियन नेशंस एज वेल एज चाइना, they are not there. That is why the funding is limited, funding is constrained. We are saying funding is limited, ऐसा नहीं है कि funding है ही नहीं, right? Funding is limited. Of course there is funding, that's why it's running as well. So digitalization of records and technology can help streamline governance, enhance policy analysis, making process more efficient, more accurate. Then traditional knowledge integration, the editorial is also saying कि हमें श्रीलंका की help लेनी चाहिए, हमें सेशल्स की help लेनी चाहिए, हमें मॉरिशस की help लेनी चाहिए, because these are small island nations and their knowledge can be integrated into IORA and we can make it more inclusive and more beneficial for the Indian Ocean region. So valuable traditional knowledge that can be integrated into modern marine governance practices to achieve equitable, inclusive as well as sustainable development. Right, then next come India's Sagar vision. So India's Sagar, that is security and growth for all in the region, right? Sagar is basically, what is Mission Sagar? Mission Sagar is an initiative by Indian Navy, right, to promote humanitarian assistance, to promote supply of essential commodities, to provide medical assistance to the countries in this region. Vision aligns with the IORA goals and can leverage India's strong leadership with IORA member for regional prosperity. So basically what it's trying to say that India can act as a big brother, can act as an iron brother for all these small nations, and India सबको एक साथ लेकर ग्लोबल साउथ का एक हेड बनकर आगे चल सकता है, and they can represent the interest of all these small developing countries. Then collaborations with member states like Australia, France, Singapore and UAE on maritime science and technology can help in innovation, can help in marine governance, can help in marine innovation as well, which would again lead to sustainable development. So you need to remember these countries: Australia, France, Singapore, Mauritius, Seychelles, Sri Lanka, right? IORA के कितने members हैं, उसका secretariat कहाँ पे है, Indian Ocean के कौन से 5 members हैं, क्यों बना है, मिशन सागर क्या है, all this you need to be knowing. Then comes a prelims PYQ. Please solve this question. It was asked in 2015. Please solve this question quickly. Comment. Hurry up everyone. No one has given the correct answer. Ruchi, Mamta, Priyanka, Sonali, Gagan, Ankit, Lavanya. Indian Ocean Rim Association was established in 1997. Right? And how 1997? Basically 1995, when President of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, visited India, he expressed his urge to India that we need to have Indian Ocean Rim Association or some sort of commission which will take care of the geopolitically important, geostrategically important Indian Ocean region. And on the basis of that, in 1995, we had Nelson Mandela told India after visiting our country, and 1997 the Indian Ocean Rim Association for Regional Cooperation was formed, and in 2015 they are asking, it was established very recently. Is it very recently? Of course not. And always remember, when such kind of words UPSC adds, though it's in 2015, we have it's a 10-year-old question, right? But still you need to be knowing, because PYQs are PYQs, they are the bedrock, right? They are the mirror for upcoming questions. I always say to students, it was established very recently. These are the extra phrases, so take care. कभी कभी सही भी हो सकते हैं, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि हमेशा ये extra phrases गलत ही होंगे, right? But there are very less chances that the statement would be correct, because UPSC also knows कि वो इतनी statement नहीं घुमाएगा कि statement का मतलब ही बदल जाए, right? So it will try to add on, fit in some phrases which will be difficult for students as well to understand. If any of you would have caught very recently, the question is itself is wrong. In response of incident of piracy and accident of oil spills, कितने oil spill के accident हो रहे हैं, कितने? ये थोड़ा है कि रोज महीने में 15 हो रहे हैं, you know, साल में हम 250 दिन oil spills ही होता जा रहा है. No, absolutely not. Common sense question. Common sense question. These questions should not be wrong, right? So of oil spills नहीं, very recently भी नहीं, और रोज oil spills छोड़ना ना कि हम एक कमीशन ही बना देंगे उसके लिए. और मैं कह भी रहा हूँ फंडिंग लिमिटेड है. अरे कितनी फंडिंग चाहिए पायरेसी और oil spills को देखने के लिए, right? So this statement is wrong. Then the next statement, it's an allies meant for maritime security only. Only is a word, right? Only is no, सिर्फ मैरीटाइम सिक्योरिटी, उसके अलावा कुछ नहीं देखेगा, राइट? पायरेसी हो रही है, सपोज कुछ भी हो रहा है इंडियन ओशन रीजन में, आप इंडियन ओशन रीजन एसोसिएशन के पास जाओगे, आप कहोगे सर उधर ये सब, कहेगा नहीं मेरा काम तो सिर्फ मैरीटाइम सिक्योरिटी है. This is not gonna work, na? So first is wrong, second is wrong, D is the correct answer, neither one nor two. Right now quickly we will do, so don't do these mistakes again. Okay, recently Russian oil spill, but it's once in a blue moon case, it doesn't happen every day beta. Okay, then we will see navigating differences. Basically it talks about the bilateral relationship between India and New Zealand. As I've told, New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon has been the chief guest in Raisina Dialogue 2025. You must be thinking, sir, what is Raisina Dialogue? So Raisina Dialogue is India's flagship conference on geopolitics, on geoeconomics, right? So we will be noticing that he was invited as the chief guest, and which part of syllabus covers, that is GS2 international relations. Now we will see what all we can expect with this visit, with the visit of Prime Minister of New Zealand Luxon to India. We will be focusing more on trade, more on economic potential, more on energy cooperation, more on digital infrastructure, AI, technology transfer. All of this will be discussed when two leaders meet. Absolutely. Khan Bhai, Gagan, Lavanya, Charita, Priyanka, Ruchi, it's never too late to learn, but just learn. Right? Learn so that you don't do the mistakes on 25th of May. Otherwise, you have to pay for the entire 365 days. It's a very tiring journey, right? So solve each and every question. There we have 100 questions. 9:30 to 11:30 you have to solve. आराम से. इतना हबड़-दबड़ में नहीं करना कि easy question भी गलत करो. That was a easy question. I would not call it a difficult question. It was a easy, common sense question. Difficult questions गलत करोगे, that is justified. फिर वो आप गलत नहीं करोगे, everyone would do it wrong. Majority of them do it wrong because no one knows, right? So New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon outlined three major outshifts in global geopolitics. What he said कि ये तीन changes हैं जो geopolitical arena में काम कर रहे हैं. Geopolitics means, if any of you don't know, it's absolutely okay, Rishi. Geopolitics means that the influence of the geography, the location, the resources, the climate on political relation, on international relations, right? So what are the points which he has recommended? Power over rules, the rise of power dynamics overshadowing established international norms, right? Rise of power dynamics over establishing the international norms. For example, China. I'll give you an example of China, right? China is claiming half of the territory, or I would say 9-dash line in South China Sea, right? Though permanent court of arbitration, is it visible? Okay, permanent court of arbitration in 2016 ruled that China has no legal basis in South China Sea. China is saying, I'm not gonna listen to you. I believe in aggressive expansionist policy, right? I believe कि मैं तो expand करूंगा ही करूंगा, right? Soft power projection with the hard edges, right? I will just expand. I am very geopolitically ambitious, तो मैं तो expand करूंगा. I'm not gonna listen to you. So rise of power dynamics over the established international norms. वो international tribunal की बात ही नहीं सुन रहा है. Then security versus economic consideration, increasing focus on security concerns over economic growth. Basically, security concerns over economic growth. Recently, we have been seeing US is imposing lot of tariffs on Mexico, on Canada, on India, as well as on China. Russia, we all know. Iran, Iraq, we know. Attacking Houthis in Yemen. All of it. So security concerns over economic growth, right? US has become more protectionist, right? America first. Then protectionism and resilient supply chains, we all have seen in COVID-19 pandemic. After that, all the countries are trying to establish resilient global supply chains because you never know what happens next. Then India and New Zealand bilateral relations, we will quickly cover. All I have discussed this. Defense cooperation, naval port and staff college exchanges, as well as joint training. Defense, we have signed a memorandum of understanding for all of this. Trade relations, we are expecting कि हम एक free trade agreement बनाएंगे, which is currently under $2 billion. So both countries are working on a free trade agreement. And trade challenges currently is $2 billion, but we are aiming to achieve more. We are aiming to achieve some more $1 billion trade between the both countries. Issues such as market access for dairy and agricultural products. As we all know, India has left RCEP, that is Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, and because of that, New Zealand is facing challenges with market access for the dairy as well as the agricultural products. Then connectivity, we are saying कि Air India and Air New Zealand, that is New Delhi to Auckland, that is the capital of New Zealand, they both will have a direct flight by the 2028, right? So if any one of you clearing prelims, clearing mains, interview, wanna go by Air India to New Zealand. Okay, so next we will be seeing concerns over anti-India activities. So India is 100% concerned with the anti-India activities going in Auckland, right? What's happening there? There is a group, Sikh for Justice, right? India is saying that declare this organization as a terrorist organization because they are demanding Khalistan on foreign soil, on foreign land, and Indian Sikh community does not want Khalistan. There are very few extremist elements who are demanding Khalistan. India is asking New Zealand authorities to take stern action, strict action against all those people who are involved in this. So we are expecting New Zealand to take action on the Sikh for Justice group in Auckland. So I'll just read it for you. Prime Minister Modi, concern over anti-Indian activities, Khalistan referendum organized by Sikh for Justice group in Auckland. So this sort of organization should be declared terrorist organizations ASAP by the global world as well. What is the New Zealand response? New Zealand is saying it's my internal matter. I'm not gonna take outside politics from you. But हाँ, आपने हमें बोला है, we have freedom of speech, freedom of expression, but we will definitely look into it as well. Then handling sensitivity, designated the need for handling such concerns diplomatically to avoid the straining, because we have diaspora there, we have Indian diaspora there, not only Sikh, all the communities live in New Zealand, so we need to find a balanced approach, right? कि हमारी बात भी बन जाए और जो हमारा diaspora उधर रह रहा है उसको भी कोई problem ना हो. Again, strategic importance, their collaboration in areas, trade, defense and regional stability with focus on freedom of navigation in the Indo-Pacific region. Here, this is the Indo-Pacific region, we have India, here is New Zealand. Okay, then we will come to the prelims news, and under prelims news, the first very important transfer of judges. So, as I've mentioned recently, so yeah, okay. So the first news, transfer of judges. So recently, Supreme Court of India has transferred Justice Yashwant Verma from Delhi High Court to Allahabad High Court. There are rumors that there was a huge pile of cash found at his residence in Delhi after a fire broke out at his home. Still, it's a rumor, so there's a controversy going on that what's happening, and that is why Supreme Court has transferred the justice. Again, it's a rumor till now. So we will not get into the controversy, but we will definitely get into the news, into the context of what is important from the UPSC perspective. So Article 217 of the Indian Constitution states that judge of a high court shall be appointed by Draupadi Murmu in consultation with the CGI and the governor of the state. Article 217. Then for the transfer of judges and ad hoc judges. Okay, ad hoc judges ka any one of you remember? We discussed it a week ago. Anyone remember the article? Then we'll move forward. Tell me. So there are three articles here. Article 217, Article 224A and Article 222, right? All three articles, just have a idea. When you write mains, you write in bracket articles, it will give enhancement to your, absolutely, very good Mamta, very good. So article 19 is, Gagan, article 19 is related to this. Article 217 is the appointment of High Court judge, right? Appointment of High Court judge. It's okay if you don't know, learn it now. Article 224A is ad hoc judge. And Article 222 is transfer of High Court judge. So you need to remember, 217 is the appointment of High Court judge, 224 is ad hoc judge, and 222 is transfer of High Court judge. Remember these three articles. Then consultation process. High Court judges are recommended by collegium comprising the CGI as well as the two senior most judges. Right now we will see first what is collegium, and we will quickly see all the three judge cases. So collegium, as I mentioned before, but we will quickly revise. Collegium is a system of appointment and transfer of judges in the Supreme Court as well as the High Court, and this collegium system has evolved through the Supreme Court judgments, not by the Act of Parliament and not by the provisions of the Constitution. And how it has evolved through three cases. The first judge case 1981, the second judge case 1993, and the third judge case, that is 1998. There is also fourth judge case, that is 2015. We often say when Supreme Court has declared the commission, National Judicial Appointment Commission, which we will discuss, has null and void. We call it as 4-judge case as well. So we'll quickly go through that what all these cases are about. If any question comes in collegiate system, just make a rough diagram, sort of. In the next slide I have sort of this, that first judge case 1991, this is 1981, and this is how you can make a rough sketch. So we'll quickly see the first judge case. So the first judge case has declared that the primacy of CJI on judicial appointment and transfer can be refused for cogent reasons. Cogent is strong reasons, logical reasons. So the first judge case said, अगर CJI कुछ कह रहा है, तो अगर सरकार के पास, एग्जीक्यूटिव के पास, प्रेसिडेंट के पास, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के पास अगर कोई रीजन है, कोई स्ट्रॉन्ग लॉजिकल रीजन है, तो सीजीआई की ओपिनियन को रिजेक्ट कर दो कि सीजीआई ने हमें बोला हम उसको अपॉइंट नहीं करेंगे, बाय बाय टाटा, वी नॉट गोना लिसन टू यू सर, राइट. बट द रूलिंग गेव एग्जीक्यूटिव प्रेमिसी ओवर द जुडिशरी इन जुडिशियल अपॉइंटमेंट फॉर द नेक्स्ट 12 years. How 12 years? Because 1981, then 1993. Right here you can see it's also important. Just have a look. Appointment of judge of Supreme Court, that is अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जज को अपॉइंट करना है, देन वी हैव सीजीआई प्लस 4 सीनियर जजेस फॉर सुप्रीम कोर्ट. फॉर हाई कोर्ट वी हैव सीजीआई प्लस 2 सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजेस, एंड फॉर ट्रांसफर ऑफ जजेस वी नीड टू हैव सीजीआई प्लस 4 सीनियर मोस्ट judges. Just have a rough idea. Have a rough idea, because again this is a very important topic जो हर साल न्यूज में रहता है throughout because of the pendency of cases, right? So you need to be knowing. You just go through this diagram later. Then we will quickly see the second judge case, that is 1993. So SC has reversed its earlier trend and said that holding the consultation means concurrence. It concurrence means कि पहले तो हमने बोला था सीजीआई के ओपिनियन को रिजेक्ट कर दो, बट नाउ इन सेकंड जज केस इट्स सेइंग कि द ओपिनियन ऑफ सीजीआई एज वेल एज 4 सीनियर मोस्ट जजेस इज बाइंडिंग ऑन द प्रेसिडेंट. CJI की opinion is binding on the precedent. It was added that not the CJI individual opinion but an institutional opinion with 2 senior most judges in the Supreme Court is binding on the precedent. Then comes the third judge case, that is 1998. Precedent reference. President said कि collegium अगर आप कर रहे हो तो करो, but it should be made a 5-member body, that is collegium. The present one collegium is CJI plus 4 senior most Supreme Court judges. So approve the CJI and 4 senior most colleagues, for example for the transfer of High Court judges, which I have just mentioned. Right? Then what are the issues involved? Issues involved with the present system? It's a cumbersome process, right? Lack of transparency. There is no structured mechanism. What's happening inside the doors, no one knows. No judicial accountability, only judicial independence, right? Then उसके बाद improper representation, right? Supreme Court might prefer a particular section of the society and rest of the sections feel ignored, right? It's not inclusive in nature. We discussed few days ago during International Women's Day week, only 2 women Supreme Court judges, B. Nagaratna and Bela Trivedi, Justice Bela Trivedi and the Nagar, only 2 Supreme Court women judges, rest women they are not there. So improper representation. Vacancy in high courts, right? We have around 3.2 crore cases pending in India, right? We have 3.2 crore cases pending in India at all 3 levels, Supreme Court, High Court as well as the subordinate level as well. High pendency of case as well as vacancy in High Courts, we have 1065 sanction strength and only 645. This is a rough figure but ज़्यादा ऊपर नीचे नहीं है, around this only this is filled, and out of 1065 only this, so around 400 judges posts are vacant, right? And how many cases we have? 3.2 crore cases. Then after all of this, Government of India, that is Narendra Modi government, in 2014 brought National Judicial Appointment Commission Act, right? It brought that act through the 99th amendment 399 Constitutional Amendment Act 2014, it brought National Judicial Appointment Commission. So National Judicial Appointment Commission का काम था to appoint the judges at the Supreme Court as well as the High Court, and this commission would have members from civil society, from judiciary as well as legislature. उन्होंने कहा कि तीनों के members इसमें आ जाएंगे तो हम judges appoint कर देंगे, but Supreme Court declared NJAC as null and void and said that it is impacting the basic structure doctrine and it has declared it null and void. It posed a threat to the independence of the judiciary, right? Independence of the judiciary comes under doctrine of basic structure. So Supreme Court has declared the commission null and void, and I believe I've explained this. They'll be selected by a commission drawn from all this is done, right? And after that comes the next news, that is demand for grants and guillotine. So I have told demand for grants worth 50 lakh crore has been passed by the Lok Sabha. It is a key aspect of the budget process, right? So in short, I will tell you a story. Nirmala Sitharaman present the annual financial statement, that is budget, in the parliament, but just presenting the budget does not mean that it's been passed, right? Just keeping a demand कि finance ministry को इतना चाहिए, defense ministry को इतना चाहिए, road and transport को इतना चाहिए, women and child development को इतना चाहिए, agriculture को इतना चाहिए. So basically these demands become a grant only when it is voted by the parliament, when it is voted by the legislature. So demand for grants is a critical procedure through which the government seek approval from the parliament for expenditure it plans to incur in the coming fiscal year. हर ministry को आने वाले साल के लिए खर्चा चाहिए, उस खर्चे को बिना approval parliament के वो grant नहीं बन सकता. So demand for grants are being presented ministry wise, right? अब again the parliament has limited time, right? They don't have ample time कि 6 महीने तक ये सब चलता जा रहा है. That is why the first editorial was talking about the parliamentary budget office, right? Here what happen is जब डिमांड फॉर ग्रांट्स को रखा जाता है तो कुछ क्लॉजेस, कुछ अमेंडमेंट डिस्कस होते हैं और कुछ अमेंडमेंट्स डिस्कस नहीं होते, या कुछ क्लॉजेस मिनिस्ट्री के डिस्कस नहीं हो पाते. बट ऑन द लास्ट डे द स्पीकर पुट ऑल द डिमांड्स टुगेदर एंड डिक्लेयर देम एज पास्ड, that it has been voted. That is known as guillotine. That is known as guillotine here. Demand for grants refer to the detailed budget proposal presented by ministry wise. So guillotine in short, जो भी clauses को हम discuss नहीं करते उनको बिना discuss करे ही हम vote दे देते हैं and they become grant. So the demand becomes grant despite not discussing it. And the 2 points here, remember, for related to demand for grants, there are 2 important points. First, it's an exclusive privilege of Lok Sabha, right? Rajya Sabha cannot vote for demand for grants. Only Lok Sabha can vote for demand for grants. And second, demand for grants can be done only for the votable expenditure and not the expenditure charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. कंसोलिडेटेड फंड ऑफ इंडिया, सिर्फ वोटेबल जो है उसी के ऊपर ये डिमांड फॉर ग्रांट्स हो सकता है, जो एक्सपेंडिचर चार्ज है उसके ऊपर नहीं हो सकता. नाउ व्हाट्स द डिफरेंस बिटवीन, और यू कैन से डिस्क्रिशनरी एक्सपेंडिचर, दैट इज वोटेबल एक्सपेंडिचर, एंड एसेंशियल एक्सपेंडिचर व्हिच इज एक्सपेंडिचर चार्ज ऑन द कंसोलिडेटेड फंड ऑफ इंडिया. वोटेबल एक्सपेंडिचर, फॉर एग्जांपल एक्सपेंडिचर ऑन स्कीम्स, ऑन सब्सिडीज, ऑन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ऑन डिफेंस प्रोक्योरमेंट, इन सब पे पार्लियामेंट बता सकता है कि पैसा खर्च करना है या नहीं करना. देन कम्स एक्सपेंडिचर चार्ज on the Consolidated Fund of India, or essential expenditure, that is salaries of the Supreme Court judges, salaries of the MPs, then pensions of the MPs or pensions of the retired people, or emoluments of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. All this cannot be voted. ये पैसा जाना है तो जाना ही है, इसमें कोई वोटिंग नहीं होगी. Right? Then last comes Dokriani Glacier. As today is World Water Day, the theme is glacier preservation. It's a glacier located in Uttarakhand near Gangotri Glacier, and its Gangotri Glacier is also the source of the lifeline of India, Ma Ganga. Dokriani Glacier is a part of Bhagirathi river system. It's a glacier located in Garhwal region of Uttarakhand within the Indian Himalayas. So as glaciers are receding, we all know it will lead to sink of the cities, right? It will deplete the fresh water and it will lead to the sea rise level. We all know Indonesia is one of the recent example who has shifted its capital from Jakarta to Nusantara. Why? One of the reasons, it was sinking. The Jakarta was sinking, so sea level rise is there, and that to 15 to 20 meters every year, right? And thousands of glaciers are receding at this level. So we all know what's going to happen in future, right? Then last PYQ, quickly solve this PYQ quickly, everyone, and I want a correct answer this time. Yeah, Charita, very nice. Bila Trivedi will be retired this year, so by that time only one Supreme Court judge, that would be B. Nagaratna, Justice B. Nagaratna. Cumbersome process means complicated process. Complicated process as in कि बहुत inordinate delays होंगे, right? The process is not simplified. चलो quickly solve this question. It's a PYQ. Good morning, Sakshi. Solve this question, beta. Hurry up. No correct answer till now. It's a PYQ. That means you are not practicing PYQs. Khan Bhai, Gagan, Rishi, wrong answer till now. Okay, I'll quickly tell you the answer. The correct answer is A, right? So consider the following pairs. It was asked in 2019. Glacier, Bandarpunj Glacier, River Yamuna. This is correct. Barashigri, Chenab River. This is right. Milam Glacier is in Uttarakhand. It's not Mandakini. It's Gori Ganga. Right, and then Siachen, Nubra River, absolutely right. Jemu Glacier, Manas, no, it's not Manas, it's Tista River. So the correct answer is 1, 2, 4, right? 3 and 5 is wrong. So 3 and 5, who told 3 and 5? 3 and 5 are wrong, right? Someone told you D. वही गलत है और उसी को आप बोल रहे हो. So 1 to 4 is the correct answer. Practice PYQs बेटा, practice PYQs. Understand the depth of PYQs, right? आप दूसरा कोई क्वेश्चन गलत कर रहे हो, still I can understand, but PYQs should not be wrong. You should read each and every option very, very carefully. Okay, the time is coming close. It's March, end of March, April, May, right? I would call it only 1.5 month. Rest of the days you will be here and there. So be very serious, be very disciplined, be very consistent, study every day. All the very best. It's okay Khan bhai, just learn it, just practice it. Okay, it's okay. अगर गलत भी हुआ है तो उस पे रोना नहीं है, ठीक है? और अगर आपके MCQs में भी गलत हो रहे हैं questions, it's okay, right? Those are not the questions which will going to be asked in prelims. ठीक है ना? Prelims questions would altogether be different. So you learn. If you're doing some mistake, learn from it rather than crying over it. ठीक है ना? So improve your focus while solving the questions. All the very best to all of you. Dheeraj, Priyanka, everyone. All the very best. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Thank you so much. Thank you.